Your next attachment is the green tide attachment. This is your horde-based attachment. It's what brings back the green tide, as in the name, and basically just allows you to take all your boys. It brings back all your 20-man weird boy blobs, your pain boys. It brings back all these hard-hitting like horde models, and gives your hobby time extensive when you have to paint 160 boys for your army. So if you want down for that, all about the horde, all about the grind, all about flooding the board with as many infantry units as possible, let's jump into what the Green Tide has to offer for the Ork 10th edition Codex. Now, the core rule is mob mentality, which is basically a consistent 5 vulnerable save for boys units only, and if it's 10 models and up. Now, 10 models and up, this single phrase here is very important because a lot of stratagems and enhancements actually go off this. You get to reroll saving throws. You get to reroll saving throws. So, yeah, it basically makes these guys a bit more tougher, especially with boys having a really bad saving throw of like 5 up. Now having the 5 invulnerable save just allows you not to go to 6, but just 5, and getting to reroll that. It's not the best, but it's a really nicely balanced in a way that doesn't make them insanely overpowered, but also keeps them alright, because ultimately the boys unit is going to be the main premise of your Green Tide army. So having a 5 invulnerable save anyway, so just sticking on 5s, rerolling 5s, is nice, and it can make them die a lot less, but ultimately it's gonna still kill them. But it just, it's a nice balance rule. It doesn't really work too well into either being wrong or right. It just evens it out nice. I think it's the perfect way to ride attachment rule, and ultimately it's a really good, all about getting aggressive, all about coming up, and basically just allows you to be that much more aggressive, but still not have the chance of dying as much. Thoughts? Heavy boys, heavy warlords, good rule, making things killing for perfect, like I said, and the more boys. 140 to 180 is what you're going to be looking at if you're building a Green Tide list, because you're going to want all the boys. All of the boys. So, let's just jump straight into it with the strategy enhancements. I've talked about the core rule, like it's balanced, but let's see what the core stratagems and enhancements have to offer for the Green Tide attachment. Now, the strat is the Bulldozer Brutality, which basically gives you a 3-inch engagement range for all units. So, suddenly, your 20 boy squads aren't going to just form around, because that's obviously a lack of them, is that when you can have 20 boy squads, like 5 or 6 of them, or 7 or something like that, can only be with engagement range in a certain enemy, because obviously just the size and how you move them. So having that 3-inch engagement range for all of them works nicely. Obviously it's a battle tactic, so yeah, and yeah, it's nice having that kind of more units being able to engage, especially with all the boy units being the main premise of your army. Having that 3-inch engagement range allows you to just be that more aggressive with them, and just kind of gives your choppers a bit more chance to just get in there. This one's good. Come on, lads is basically command phase, return D3 plus 2 orcs to the mob. So if your enemy's slowly starting to work down your orc models, you can spend a CP and just return D3 plus 2 models, especially with a pain boy who gets to bring back like D3 models. Pair it with him with a Grot Orderly and have him on all squads. Suddenly, the moment you want to return a bunch of boys, you just pop the Grot Orderly and you pop this stratagem on a single model, and boom, they're back to almost full strength. So, that's nice. Great paired with the Pain Boy, and I ultimately think it's going to work really well into making them that much harder to kill. Competitive Streak is boys units reroll wound rolls for melee, and you reroll all rolls if your is 10 or up. So similar to the Bully Boyz, where you just get to reroll wound rolls of 1 in melee, or you get a full hit wound roll if it's 10 up models, which playing into some of the enhancements allows you basically just to sustain 10 hits models no matter how much you have. So nice, similar. It's a bit niche, but if you're looking at really taking him down, especially with this one ultimately is even a bit better because the boy units are really weak. So having that ability to full hit real wound rolls is going to be a lot more better at like making them like more killy and just kind of swarming over them and having a bit more chance of killing the units you want to kill. Bragging rights is in your command phase. 2 boy units within 6 inches counts having 10 models for your detachment roll, enhancements, and stratagems. So basically, if you have 2 boy units, you can basically just it's basically 2. I think it's like 6 inches within each other. So if you're close or like 6, I don't know what 6 inches. I believe 6 inches with each other. They count as having 10 models. So suddenly you can have the full hit wound rolls to 9 boys or 8 boys, or however many you have left if you lost them. With that, you get to have kind of the enhancements that work with having 10 ups. You get the CP. Just things like that work well with the having 10 up, because having 10 up is important in this attachment. So keeping this can work well, especially if you have a an enhancement on one of your Warbosses that you really want to keep. It's good for that. Go Get 'Em is a surge. So basically, you move D3 directly towards the closest enemy unit after they've been shot. So great for pushing up points, great for getting in consolidation, especially with the 3-inch engagement range, and just ultimately good movement strat that you can just move the ball with. Now, the enhancements, the Furious Show-Offs. Now, this is a 10-point enhancement. It's basically one. It's not 15. Sorry, plus 15 is supposed to be 1 strength. So basically, it's 1 strength for the character, or 3 strength if the model is 10 up or more. This is it's only 1 up strength for the character, so it just makes it a bit better for the WAAAGH. But plus 3 to 10 strength can work well. Once again, if you've got a hard-hitting Warboss model you just want to tear through things with, yeah, good, but kind of bleh. You understand what I mean? It's a bit weak, but it works alright in a sense of having more strength if you just want to tear through it with the Warboss. Brutal but Cunning, obviously a bit of a takeoff Cunning but Brutal, is new command phase, roll 1d6, and 2 of your unit is 10 up with that. If you roll a 5 up, you gain 1 CP. So, all you need for this is basically a 3 up with a 10-man model, which obviously having 20 boys is actually quite easy to do. And with a strat to bring it back, you just get CP. So basically just limits the idea of having that many Gretchens, because Gretchens have to be on a point. This just allows you to be wherever you want on the board and get this benefit. So nice, but bosses can basically farm strats and get more of these returning D3 models. Because ultimately, what you're going to want to farm is Come On Lad. You're going to be your D3 plus 2 Ork model, so having this ability to gain CP from just being anywhere, and as long as you have 10 up units, is really nice. Bloodthirst, but I don't know how to say that, I'm a bit stupid. It's 15 points, it's a reroll advance roll, and your units for 10 is a reroll charge roll. So basically, you get to reroll the advance roll and reroll charge roll. So if you want to get some great movement off in the WAAAGH, this is your go-to. It can work with Warboss, but ultimately you're going to want to have that on maybe even the Weird Boy. Work well for that. And now Ravenous Warcaller is all units counts having 10 rolls or more for your detachment roll and stratagem. So ultimately, this is just like the stratagem. You just have this on it at all times. If you have a unit you just want to keep alive, so for example, if you've just got if you want to keep a Weird Boy and Pain Boy unit alive, you chuck this on the Weird Boy, and suddenly you get to keep returning the D3. You get to keep returning the D3 plus 2 Ork models. You get to get that. You get the 5 mutable save. You get the full saving throw. You get that stuff like that, and you just retain the idea of that. And the good thing about the Come On Lads is that you don't actually need 10 up models to have it. It's just nice for that. So yeah, good. And I would ultimately recommend this is going to be like on a Weird Boy that you want to keep alive, a unit you want to solely stick with to continuously get that reroll saving throws for your boys. But that's going to be the Green Tide attachment. Ultimately, a Horde-based attachment that focuses very much on keeping all your Horde-based units alive at all strengths possible, and just works with flooding the board as many units as possible, and making them just that bit much more killy, but mainly that much more defensive, which is what you want a Horde army to be at the end of the day. Have as many units as possible and make them as hard to kill as possible.